Welcome, Nikita, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the Einer, Freiheit, this new album Inert, and more things related to the metal, to the metal world in general. So we started by asking, so how are you doing today? How is the band during the last couple of years? Because your previous album Nocturne was released in 2021.
Yeah. The weather is shit in Germany right now. That's also why I'm wearing a big hoodie during summer, but basically summer is gone. Our album is coming out in 2 days, so I'm very, very excited about that. Very looking forward to all the feedback. I mean, we've received a lot already, which is very good, and I'm of course very happy about that. And so this week is very busy with interviews like this one. And yeah, next week we're starting off our European tour with Heretois. We're very looking forward to that. Rehearsing a lot to make everything as smooth and good as possible for the audience. Yeah, it's going very well. And yeah, it took 4 years since Nocturne, but I think 4 years is at least for us as a band, and for me personally as a songwriter, 4 years is a good time to get myself into the right mood, to have enough time as possible to give you the fans, but also ourselves. The best thing we can deliver at the moment. So people always ask for uh, shorter time frames between albums, but I think for us, these 4 years are cool.
Hmm. Okay. So, and then this one. So, when did you decide writing songs for this new album? It was during the last 4 years, or it was, or perhaps do you rescue any composition that left with out from the previous album? Who knows? Or all the songs new, or do you rescue any composition?
They're completely new. You're right. At other albums, also on Nocturne, there are, for example, in the song Monument, there are a couple of riffs, or even the whole start until the blast beat, which was taken from an unfinished song, basically, that was lying around for 10 years or maybe. But for the new album, I started working completely from scratch. We had this big tour in 2023, a very long 6 weeks tour with Igor and Amun Ra, which was a great tour. But after that, and after a couple of summer festivals in 2023, I had the impression that, yeah, the fire is burning again, and there needs to be some new songs. So I started working on new songs in late summer 2023. And basically in, I think, April 24, so roughly, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months later, the album was finished, written, demoed, pre-produced. So from there, we actually started to prepare ourselves, which took another 1.5 years, basically, or 1 year to be exact. The preparations took so much time because our aim was to record the album again in full takes, not part by part, to maintain like the focus on the whole song, not just on certain parts or certain instruments, to yeah maintain this natural vibe to the album, this human characteristics which every one of us band members bring into the album. That was very important. So that meant, especially for Tobias on the drums, but also for myself with the vocals, it meant a lot of practice, a lot of preparation. I practiced the songs almost every day throughout a certain time frame. Same for Tobias and the other guys. But with that, we could make sure to like nail the recordings, which was the big goal, to really be as prepared as possible. But that takes time.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay. I've been hearing this new album, so like two, three times to do the interview, especially all the review also. So, and one thing that I didn't notice because I know you ran since your third albums from Stellar, great album at that moment. Now I continue listening your new albums with this new one also. I saw that I denoted something that you lean down more for the progressive stuff, for the post metal. Yes, just it's not anymore like this that black metal from Stellar album. More, more I don't know, more cold. This kind of sensations on that album. Now, this decision it was a conscious decision to change the trails, the sounds of the Avec Einer Freiheit, or perhaps it was something that happens during the composition process.
Maybe this feeling is also aroused by the overall production and the sound of the album, which in my opinion is way warmer, way more pleasing the ears in a way than compared to an album like Stellar or the previous albums even. Like the first album, in my opinion, it sounds very, very clinic, very harsh. Um, it's a sound that we don't want to repeat on the new stuff. So that's the reason why we took care of the new album sounding more warm, natural, like almost kind of like old school vintage vibe style. Also by the use of the instruments and the amps, the sounds, the synthesizers, everything was rather unpolished, warm. So maybe that's the case, but also regarding songwriting and the use of synthesizers, for example, or the use of this different vocal styles. And also, I think one of the main reasons why people uh, would say it's more progressive is probably the drumming of Tobias, which is way more got way more technical, but not in a way of, at least in my opinion, not in a way of showing off like what he can play. And he's not the fastest drummer in the world, obviously, and that's not the point. With all this technicality, we didn't want to show off again, but rather find a way to musically include this kind of technicality into the music so it's enhancing the music. Um, and by doing this, I think it got a little bit more progressive, maybe from some points also some more posty, or I
Okay.
don't know how you want to call it. Um, but all in all, sometimes it's also just a label that you as a band get stamped by the music industry or your label or something. You know, we never cared about things like that. It's all right if people call us a black metal band if they want to put a post or progressive or I don't know what before that. We're fine.
Okay. Okay. Also, in this topic, talking about especially for the label, well, as the band of the sounds of the band sounds evolve in other kind of things, that's completely normal during the years. Did you still consider it as a, or do you still consider it as a black metal band, or you just put it another labels in it? Because with this kind of mixtures with progressive post metal or another kind of music that I found in this inner on the previous one, you left this, you said it, you have this raw aspect for the black metal stuff for the previous album. That's completely normal. So now, do you still consider it as a black metal band, or perhaps you are more considered like just a metal band?
Um, no, I think I would still go for the black metal tag because you
Mhm.
know the blast beats, the screams, the tremolo pick guitars, melodic, and still at I don't know 70% all the time. It's very fast. It's very um, aggressive kind of style, but not in a way of wanting to sound brutal or yeah, aggressive in the term itself, but rather to create a very intense feeling, very intense emotion. That's the case. What or that's something we are after, and we often find this kind of emotional intensity in black metal. So we're totally fine if, or we would call ourselves still a black metal band, that's for sure, because you find all the trademarks which are also important in black metal, at least in my opinion. Of course, there are satanic or these more darker images also in black metal, or it's the foundation
Mhm.
of black metal. But you know, over the past 30, I don't know, 40 years even, um,
Mhm.
there has been a natural evolution, and there will always be an evolution in any musical genre. But still, we're happy with the black metal tag.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So now you've been working with Season of Mist with more than 10 years now. That's it. With
Mhm.
more than 10 years. You're since your stellar album, you're working with them now 10 years now since that stellar album.
Yep.
So now you have with them you have within like four albums with them. So how it was when work with one of the biggest labels in the world. So since the beginning to now, how many things change? How is the enter of the band since the beginning to now? How many things change, especially, and how do you compare with the previous label that it was Boys Hate Records, if I'm not wrong.
Viv
So
Viva
so
Hate
how,
Records, yeah.
so how it was in this case the transition to that, and now you're working to 10 years with Season of Mist. How it was since then to now.
Yeah, I mean, Viva Hate Records, our first label, was very important in, getting us out of the DIY, out of doing everything ourselves, um, kind of thing, bringing us to a broader audience nationally, first in Germany, and putting us on a couple of festivals which are important for the German or European scene. But in 2015, as you said, we released the first album on Season of Mist, Stellar, and that was really a complete level up for us because of course it opened up the international audience for us, and they have a huge US office also. And I think the reason why we are talking, I mean, you're from Lima, if I'm
Mm,
correct,
Peru
right?
in general.
Peru. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, like to get audience from Latin America, I think it's part of the label's work because they are huge all around the world, and they did a great job for us in the past and also for this album. Um, so we're still very happy. They are very supportive in our band from the start. They showed us, even we get even personal messages from him from them saying, "Hey, your album is really good." And I don't know if that happens from big labels, that you get personal message from the staff working at the label. So
Mhm.
we feel very supported by them. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now talking about a little more about the promotion for this new Inert. So, what kind of promotion do you have for this new album? Perhaps you will embark some. You said it. You will embark in with Heritage. You will embark
Mhm.
in some tours, but now perhaps you release more gigs, more tours. Perhaps you will come for the first time to a full Latin American tour. Who knows? Or Asia, or perhaps you will embark. You present more videos, or perhaps who knows? Because as this album takes 4 years to release it, you're already working on a new songs to release a new album. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's the point. We never, for songwriting, actually, we never have a master plan or something like, okay, there needs to be a new album in 2 years. We don't work like that. As I said, everything needs to come naturally. But of course, on the live side of things, there are plans. As I said, this big tour starting next week with Heritage. And yes, Latin America, full Latin American tour would be a dream come true for us. To be very honest with you, we would love to do it, although it means a lot of flights, a lot of sleepless nights, and everything, which is pretty common for touring Latin America. But we would definitely would love to do that, to meet all of you and have a good time, because people were asking since years now, come to Brazil, come to Colombia, come to Peru, anywhere. So yeah, we definitely hope to make it maybe next year, not sure, but hopefully 2027 maybe. That would be great. The problem is with our band, or not a problem. It's a very it's a decision from us personally. It's a
Mhm.
private decision actually that we still are. Everyone in the band is still have a full-time job, so we are time-wise we are very limited to only play a handful of shows here and
Mhm.
there in the year. We can't like be on tour all the year. That is a decision we made for ourselves, which means we have to pick what we are doing. So next year, we will do our very first show in the US finally in May at Maryland Death Fest. Then we will embark on a few festivals in the summer. But the second half of 2026, it's still very open, and we're discussing a few plans there, which also include different other countries like Latin America, Asia. We would love to come everywhere, but we can't do it like
Mm.
at the same time. It all takes time. That's how we go. Um, yeah, but we really hope to make that happen sooner than later, hopefully.
Okay, okay. So one thing that you said about now about this, especially for the production in studio for this new album Inert, that in some ways this album has more warmth or some cleanness. That's completely normal into the extreme musical now. The extreme music, that's a curious thing. When I started to hear this at the ends of the 80s, the extreme music, it was more raw, more heavy. I don't know, up for the production. But now the extreme metal is like more cleanness than the heavy or than the trash, etc. So, what's your kind of opinion do you have about this now? This topic about this the now this the string metal sounds cleanness in every style. So not just the extreme. So in every style, the extreme music sounds cleanness and sometimes lose this essence to sound raw, dark. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I pretty much have a strong opinion about that. What I said earlier when I said something like we wanted a clean production, it was actually not meant we want a very generic clean production with a new album, but rather um, not overdubbing too much, not editing too much, not like layering a lot of vocal stacks on top of each other to make it as big as possible. With
Mhm.
clean, I meant actually maybe it was the wrong word for it. A very natural and raw sound, which comes straight from the source, like the instrument or the vocals, without too much editing and too much magic, so to say. That was our aim, and also the reason why I said we wanted to record all instruments in one take,
Mhm.
which we started doing in on Nocturne already. And we found out that works absolutely fine for our band and for our sound. It really benefits the sound. And that is also the feedback we get from the fans, the press, that they really like this new kind of yeah, raw sound if you want. Even the mix, I'm the music producer myself, and I mixed and mastered the album. And the
Mhm.
mix only took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 days to fully finish because I put myself a limit not to overcompress, not to over EQ the
Mhm.
live out of the guitars or anything. You can hear, if you listen closely, minor flaws here and there, which are not mistakes on that side, but
Mhm.
rather enhancing the humanity of the recording. And we wanted to have them in the recording, not edit them out, and don't use too much of automation and things like that. And by doing this, we wanted to create like a counterpart of, as you said, modern metal productions kind of all sound the same and very generic. And we had this strange urge to find our own unique sound, and you can only achieve that by, in my opinion, yeah, by don't overdo it, don't do more magic than it needs to, especially in the post processing, but also in the preparations already. That's why we needed so much time to prepare ourselves for the recordings, to have everything nailed at the day of the recording and to maintain our human character in the music. That was the most important thing for us.
Okay, okay. And with this topic that you said it that you record this album in one take, on the rehearsal
The
stuff,
songs,
the
yeah,
songs. So and in this situation, so that is curious thing because there you are not like the first band that trying to do this one.
yeah,
I just spoke
sure.
with another bands that they try to just to record the music in one rehearsal, for example.
Hmm.
Just they practice a lot with instant and then decide to record all the situation. And with this curious thing also, mostly there is the tendencies is not using to the metronome to do
Hmm.
to provide this like you said it a different kind of sensation, not like some machines, because the
Yep,
metronome brings this topic to be like sounds on the machine. That's completely normal. And in this
yep.
situation, so are you agree with these new tendencies to not use it or to record the music with just in one take in the rehearsal room, and also just not using mostly there I knew like a few drummers that not using metronome now.
In my opinion, using a metronome or click, if you call it, or not, it completely depends on the music and the musician who or the band who's playing the music. It can perfectly work. For
Mhm,
example, Amun Ra is the perfect example
mhm,
that a band that really benefits from not using a metronome live and on recordings. If you, I don't know if you have seen them live, but we were on tour with them, and you know their music, their parts, they if they want to slow down because the energy in the room needs it at the moment, they slow down and they play the song like 10 or 20 BPM slower than the original version, and it sounds great. We made for ourselves, we made the experience that playing with a click or the metronome still makes sense because um, I feel like when I'm writing songs, I take very good care of the individual instruments, what every instrument is playing, and also the tempo at some points is very important to match for a certain vibe, a certain riff or part to get its full energy, its full life as it is supposed to be. So for our sound, it works best with a metronome. However, it would be a great experiment to find out how the music feels or maybe just a few songs. I heard from Gojira, for example. I mean, a huge fucking band that over the time they realized that certain songs in their set list work better without a metronome, so they don't do any click live. But other songs, the drummer said he needs this kind of reference, so they switch on again the metronome. And that is a cool approach, actually. So there is no right or wrong, in my opinion. Every band needs to find their way.
mhm,
Um, yeah, I don't know if there was another part of the question that I
mhm.
forgot.
No, that's completely wrong.
If
That's
so,
that's all.
okay, okay,
That's all.
all right,
That's all.
okay.
So, and with this topic, you said it now. The one thing that is more related to your answer for this. Now we are hearing like the 30, 40 releases per weekend. And all these 30, 40 sounds great, sounds amazing, great musicians, not bad records. We are speaking about the cleanness on all the street music. And with this, you can see that it's not compared to the old days. When you find five records, three records sounds amazing, two records not sound amazing. For the production, for the money, I don't know. So, what kind of opinion do you have for these overwhelming releases and all these bands sounds and all these bands and musicians sounds great, amazing in the studio?
For other bands now,
Yes,
or
for other bands in general.
oh, life is full of surprises. Sometimes I can tell a story about our album Nocturne. Actually, the reason why we found out for our band that it sounds best in this live environment, recording live, was because we had the ability to produce and record this album, Nocturne, in a huge studio, which cost a lot of money, but we could pay the money because we got a funding by the government of Germany because actually of the pandemic, of the corona virus, which is a crazy thought. But as I said, life can be full of surprises. Because of the pandemic, we had we had the ability to get money for the production of the album from Germany, what enabled us to make this great experience for our band. So you can never say, mostly it's budget, which is limiting your abilities to record. So if you only have a few bucks to spend and you don't have a label advance or something like that, that can help you, of course. Yeah, you can. Mostly you have to record yourself. Maybe you can send the mix to an external engineer or something like that. But mostly money and also the time is are the most like factors that limit the production and ultimately the sound of your record the most, in my opinion.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So when now let's return into the, especially for the discography for the Avec or from your band in this the Avec for Einer Freiheit. Because usually I saw that you try to instead you try especially for the titles of the albums, you just use it one word. Just your first album has the homonym album from yours, but then since your second album and Still, Stellar, Finisterre, Nocturne, then Inert has one word. So in this kind of situation, when you find one album with that one, it just could be just like happens. But when you find four albums, or yes, four albums or five albums with one word, this means is this on purpose. So in this situation, so why do you decide to put just one word for your for in each album for this?
Yeah, there's definitely a tradition. If you
Mhm,
don't look at the first album, which is four words.
mhm,
Um, but every release has one word actually only. It's kind of a tradition. I wanted to stick with that. I like it. I like to have a very strong one word to describe the whole album. That's just the way I like it. There's no deeper sense about it. I have a list. I feed the list with anything that comes to my mind anytime, with kind of interesting words that sound
mhm,
interesting or that have an interesting meaning. So this list, I don't know, 20 words on it. And
mhm.
Innern, over the past few years, it was one of the words. And I looked at that and I had the feeling, yeah, that fits perfectly. That fits the topic of the album.
Okay, okay, okay. So, and other questions about this one. So, well, stellar is in English. You try to mix all the times the words because in English, Finisterre, they'll nocturne, these or in German words or your mother tongue, and this one. So, and also I saw that you're also mostly all your songs are writing in German. But for in this
Mhm.
new album, I saw some of the songs like Fragment or Mother or Forlorn are just has titles in English. So that's a curious thing because mostly since the beginning the band tried to use your language. So now what you
Mhm.
decide now for this new album to just include more songs in English and obviously you did it in the past, but this album has more songs in English.
The only song in English language is actually the last one, Forlorn.
Okay,
Fragment, of course, it's the same word for
okay.
English and German. Fragment.
Mhm,
Um, but yeah, I have a fable for words that are universally understandable in a way.
mhm,
That was maybe not on the first album, but already on the second EP. Like the title of the EP is Agony, which is
mhm,
agony is also everyone can understand it basically. And there are songs like Posthum or Ingrim, I think.
mhm,
These are words that maybe with a little bit of research everyone can understand, and that's the background behind that. I wanted to have titles not all the time,
mhm.
but whenever it fits. I wanted to have titles that people can straight connect with, that I can connect with. Um, and don't need like a study of German to get to know what it's all about. I mean, you maybe have to get a study to German. You have to study German when you want to understand the song's lyrics in German. Um,
Mhm.
but you know, the title is mostly like that is um, the title describes the common theme of the whole lyrics. So
Mhm.
I wanted to keep that universally.
No, okay, okay. Well, Nikita, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. Thank you very much for your time. This new album's a great one, as usually, for the
Thank you.
Einer Freiheit. So,
Perfect.
and and perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallica followers?
Yeah, again, we so much hope to finally come to Latin America. It would
Mhm.
be so great to see you all. And yeah, we thank you all for your ongoing support. We receive so much feedback and so much love from you. That's really good. And we thank you for that. And also for you personally, your work you're doing with the magazine and all your fellow colleagues all
Mhm.
around the world. It's so important for our scene to have people like you, like probably not being paid to do that, but doing that by heart and by passion about the bands you like and the scene. So that's very important for me to mention. So thank you for that, for your work.